Okay, hi guys. So today I'm going to show you how to make nuggets with vital wheat gluten. So this is not something that you can substitute with anything but vital wheat gluten. This is what makes it the right texture for everything. So there's no substitutes. If you don't have this, you either need to order it on Amazon or go to the store and get it. If you can't find it, this is not a recipe for you. So what you need is just 1 cup of vital wheat gluten, and you're going to use a big bowl because you need enough space to mix it all together. So, and it's not imperative that it be exact. It's not a touchy recipe. So just 1 cup of vital wheat gluten and about 2.5 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. It doesn't have to be exact, so if you're low on nutritional yeast and you can only get 1 or 2, that's fine. So just enough like that. And then about a tablespoon of onion powder. And like I said, it doesn't have to be exact, so you don't need to be super precise with the measuring. So 1 of those. And then about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Any kind of salt is fine. It doesn't need to be pink Himalayan salt or sea salt. Table salt's fine too. Just make sure it's about 1/2 teaspoon. And then any kind of poultry seasoning that you have is what it calls for in the original recipe on Edgy Veg. But I use this stuff. This is what we always used to season our chicken with before we went vegan. So this is what I'm using. So any kind of seasoning that you have, if you do a no salt seasoning or something like that, it just something that you would have seasoned poultry with in the past. And then you need 3/4 of a cup of veggie broth that you're going to mix with 2 tablespoons of tahini. So we just get our tahini at Trader Joe's. It's like $4. I used to buy it at Whole Foods and pay like $6 for like half the size. So if you have a Trader Joe's near you, that's where I would go to get it. So I already have some veggie broth in a measuring cup. So I'm just going to pour 2 tablespoons of tahini in here and mix it up. Okay, so now that you have the tahini and the veggie broth all mixed together, set it aside real quick, and if you have a whisk, great, use that. If not, just use a fork, and just kind of mix this all up so everything is evenly incorporated, like so. Then, you're actually going to use a fork, and you're just going to pour this in and mix it all together. And this is what nugget dough looks like. So I'm not going to specify chicken nuggets, anything like that, because it's not. Anybody would eat a nugget as long as it tastes good. They don't care what it's actually made out of. I never ate nuggets before I went vegan because they were chicken. I ate them because they tasted fucking amazing. So we're just making nuggets. So nugget dough really easily comes together, and this is what it looks like. And it's that easy. So now that it's done, I've already washed my hands. If you haven't in this point, you're gross, and wash your hands before you start cooking. So you're just going to take it, and you can see it just kind of mushes together. It's very, I don't even know what to call this. This is the texture that it should look like. So you're just going to take your dough, just kind of squish it together, make sure it's just mixed well. That's all you want. You can't overmix this, and I don't know why you would want to. It's kind of a weird, gross texture. But you're just going to take off little spots of it. This is going to double in size when you bake it in the oven in the liquid that I'll show you in a few minutes. So don't do them this big, otherwise you're going to have a gigantic fucking nugget. So about this size is perfect. And it's really pliable. You can squish it all together Make whatever shape makes you happy. It doesn't matter. I'm just doing circles. They don't necessarily make me happy, but they're easy. So, nugget 1. This is what you're going to do with all of the dough to make nuggets. And then you're just going to put them to the side and do the rest of it. Okay, so now that you have all your nuggies in little nuggie size, like this, and they're not very thick, so because they're going to puff up, this is just a few cups of vegetable broth with some onion chopped up, and this is what you're going to bake them in the oven on 350 for like an hour. So just put them in there, and I don't care how much veggie broth you use, it just has to cover your nugget. So if your pan is smaller but taller, then I don't know, just make it work. You just need to cover your nuggets. So just put them in here, and then you're going to bake them. So I don't have a fast forward thing because I do all of this from my phone. So I'm going to torture you guys, and you're going to watch me put every single one of these in here on real time. You're welcome. So if you don't want to do nuggets, you want to just do kind of like sandwich. Okay, so my phone cut off because my awesome camera assistant today pushed a button. But so if you're going to do like sandwiches, you'll make them about this size. Kind of big enough to fit in the palm of your hand, unless you have gargantuan hands or teeny tiny hands. If you have about average hands, just make it like the size of your palm. And like I said, don't make it very thick, otherwise it's going to puff up and it's not going to fit in your damn mouth if it's a sandwich. So put that guy in there too, and then you're going to cover it with tin foil and put it in the oven for an hour. Okay, so now that it's covered with tin foil, you're going to put it in the oven very carefully so you don't spill any of the juices. Like so. Close the door, and we'll check on it in about 45 minutes to make sure everything is still covered. So now that it's been about 45 minutes to an hour, we're going to carefully take it out so you don't burn yourself. And while you still have your pot holder on your hand, lift the tin foil so all the hot steam that comes out doesn't burn your bare hand. And ta-da! Try it in. Ta-da! Now you have the little nuggies, and they are done. They will look like this. See? Doubled in size. They're gigantic nuggies now. They're more like slider size. And then this is the one that was for the burger. So I'm not going to pick up because I have a feeling it's going to break everywhere. So what you can do is just get a plate, and you're going to put all these on a plate and let them just kind of sit for a few minutes. Okay, so while the nuggets cool enough to be handled, I'm going to show you guys how to make the breading. So we're going to do about a cup of flour, just regular flour. I haven't attempted this with gluten-free flour because they're made with vital wheat gluten. So if you have gluten allergies or don't do the gluten thing, I know it's a little late in the video to say this, but this is probably not the thing for you. So about a cup of regular flour, and then about 3/4 of a cup of panko breadcrumbs, or any kind of breadcrumbs that you guys have on hand is fine. And then you're going to do about a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and about a teaspoon of onion powder. And you can adjust these based on what you like or don't like. If you're not into garlic or onion, just leave that out, I guess, and use a little more of the seasoning that you used in place of like the poultry seasoning. And then I'm just going to add just I don't know, about a half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, if I can get it to come out. Okay, I guess I'm out of smoked paprika. Actually, I'm actually going to use that much. That's all I have. And about a half a teaspoon of salt. And then you're going to use your whisk or fork again and just kind of mix it all up. Make sure it's well combined, so when you bread your stuff, it's all breaded evenly. Flavors are not in one spot and not the other. So just leave that aside, and then to make the liquid, use about a cup of almond milk, or whatever non-dairy milk you have is fine. Doesn't really matter. And then I like to add a couple teaspoons of flax meal. This is just ground up flaxseed. So I do about 3 teaspoons of it. And about a tablespoon of Frank's Red Hot. I don't really measure it, I just kind of shake it in. Maybe, yeah, about a tablespoon. And then about 1/4 of a teaspoon of mustard. And then you're just going to mix all this together. And you're going to kind of let it sit aside for about 5 to 10 minutes, kind of let the flaxseed soak in. And then when your nuggets are cool enough to touch, it's time to bread them. Okay, so now that the nuggets are cool, and you'll notice there's a lot less because while you guys were not looking, I already did half of these and I ate them. So this is what's left, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it now that I have already sampled it and made sure that it tastes good. So before you bread them and everything, make sure you turn your oven on to 450 so that it can preheat while you do this. And then you're just going to get a cookie sheet and line it with parchment paper so that they don't stick and you don't have to use any extra oil than you already need to. So you're just going to take your little nuggets, and they're just crazy. It's crazy that this can be made with plants. But, so you're going to dunk it in, completely submerge it, and then you're going to put it in the breading. Just kind of flip it over, make sure you coat it really well. If you have a better technique to doing this, just ignore me and proceed on. If not, this is how I do it. I like to do it twice so that the breading is a little extra thick. You don't have to, you can do it once. I feel that it works better being done twice though. And then you're just going to place them on the cookie sheet. And then you're just going to do that until they're all done. So now that they're all breaded, you're going to get your cooking spray, whatever kind you use, which, yes, there is some fat in here and a little bit of oil, even though it says there's 0 calories, no fat. Do you see the serving size? It's a 1/3 second spray is the serving size, which is why they don't have to list any fat or calories on it, because it's not enough to actually be worth listing. 1/3 of a second is not something I can obtain. So there's a little bit of fat, but it's not like frying. So we're just going to bake them because yes, they taste amazing fried, but I'm not trying to put that much fat on these. They don't need it. So long story short, get your cooking spray and you're just going to lightly coat them on the top. And then you're going to turn them over and do the same thing on the other side. This one's the big one that we did for the sandwich. So a little bit of spray. I mean, maybe that's a lot to you guys. That's not a lot to me. So just make sure you get all the flour, because whatever doesn't get coated in cooking spray will just taste like flour. And then you're going to put them in the oven. So, and I don't know, I bake them for about 15 minutes and then I like to flip them. So we'll check on them in about 10-15 minutes. It's been about 25 minutes and they are done. You can kind of see the oil bubbling a little bit on them still. That's okay. As soon as they cool down, that'll all stop and they'll kind of crispen up a little bit. So this is what they should look like when they're done. A little bit golden brown and evenly done. So I turned them at about 10-15 minutes, and yeah, so now they're done. Ow, and they're hot, obviously. So I'm gonna let them cool down, and then I'm gonna take a bite and show you guys the inside. All right, guys, thanks for sticking with me for this long. I know this is one of my longest, well, I think it's my longest video, but it's definitely worth it. And some recipes just take a little bit longer, but the fact that you know every single ingredient that is in this, they are pretty much high carb, low fat, vegan nuggets, little bits of amazingness. Sometimes they just take time. So if it's too long, let me know in the comments. If you guys are okay with it for recipes that are a little bit more detailed like this one, let me know in the comments. Either way, if you make it, let me know what you think of it. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's do the official taste test of the nugget. Pretty amazing. If I can get this to zoom in. That pretty much is a nugget. I don't care what you say. And it's amazing. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to finish these. I might actually make some vegan grilled cheese and put these in the middle with some lettuce and call it good. So, if I do, there'll be a video following this one for you. Okay, so while I was eating these, I remembered that I forgot to tell you guys that once they're made and they're baked and they're cooled down, before you bread them, you can actually just put them in the fridge and keep them there for up to a week and bread them and bake them on another day. So you can get all the hard work out of the way and then just bread them and bake them when you want to have them for dinner or lunch or breakfast. I'm not going to limit you. And then also, once they're breaded and baked and they're crispy and they're perfect, you can also refrigerate them and then just put them back into the oven to crisp them up. So you can basically make this entire recipe start to finish and then put them in the fridge for another night when you don't want to cook. You can just throw them into the oven. I haven't frozen them yet, so if you want to try that and let me know how it goes, leave that in the comments. I don't know if they'll make it that far though, because they're pretty amazing. But just a heads up, you can get all the hard work out of the way and put them in the fridge for another night.